Community Service, Unitarian Universalist Congregation of Cleveland. I am Marlene Blatnick-Fries, a member of the Forum Committee, and I'm coordinating today's discussion, which is both remote and in-person audiences. Our topic today is how to make your home comfortable, eco-friendly, and affordable. A few administrative things before we begin. We will have a Q&A from most probably about 9:35, 9:20 to a little after 10. Jan Devereaux will provide the mic for our in-person audience and ask our virtual audience to put questions in the Q&A box. Now I'm asking everyone to please turn off your cell phones or put them in airplane mode. This program is recorded and will be available in a few days on the website uucleveland.org. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our two speakers who have kindly agreed to share their time and expertise with us.
Is the mic working?
Our first speaker today will be Martin Berry. Martin Berry is president and founder of Berry Insulation and is a certified energy auditor, holds a baccalaureate degree in mechanical engineering, a master's degree in business administration. Additionally, Mr. Berry has over 30 years experience as a practitioner and executive in engineering and energy management fields around the world. Berry Insulation is active participant in residential weatherization programs that include Columbia Gas Performance Solutions Program, Dominion Home Performance Energy Star Program, City of Cleveland and Ohio Cuyahoga County Home Weatherization Assistance Program, and Habitat for Humanity. Our second speaker, who will talk on the IRA, is Alberto LS, graduate of the New York Institute of Technology in May of 2013. He has a 5-year baccalaureate's degree in architecture. Alberto began his career in 2011 as an architect intern and junior designer for a mid-sized firm in New York City. In 2014, he began construction management as assistant superintendent and net zero coordinator for the first net zero building northeast of the Mississippi River. During his 7 years with general contractor, he was promoted to project and superintendent and eventually to program manager for projects ranging anywhere from $60 to $250 million. Today, he works as an owner's representative for an Ohio-based healthcare institution. Alberto is a licensed architect and an accredited professional of the United States Green Building Council. Thank you for both of us for being, thanks for both of you to speak today, and we'll turn it over to Mr. Berry.
Sure. Well, first we have to get the technology right, so let me get this Zoom started here. Okay. Well, good morning, everyone. And in advance, I want to thank you for having me here today. I had a chance to meet some folks, gosh, a number of months ago at my office, and we talked about this. And it's so great to see your group committed to the same thing we're committed to. The mission of our company is to help you and other consumers keep their homes safe, comfortable, and efficient, which matches your credo. I think we'll talk a little bit about the safety aspect of that. So as Marlene said, I'm the founder and owner of Berry Insulation, and we've been in business about 13 years in this business. And I'm an out-of-towner. I live on the west side, and I made the trip over here this morning. So I want to get this to the full screen. Let's see what we can do. Okay.
That's right.
And I'm very impressed with the technology setup you have here. So, what I'm going to talk about today is how to keep your home safe, comfortable, and efficient. I'm going to buzz through a number of things you can do in your home to affect your situation, safety, comfort, and efficiency. And then also I'll hit on some areas where you can help defer the cost of energy efficiency improvements, and then Alberto will amplify that, I think, in his presentation. Okay, so write down your questions. There's a lot of content in this subject, and if you have questions about anything we discuss, I have a lot of photos and slides we can review. I would certainly entertain those in the Q&A period or even after. Okay, so a little bit about our company. We've done approximately 7,000 projects in our history, anywhere from small improvements to a home up to larger commercial buildings. And as you said, we're involved in a lot of different programs around the area, and we're fairly credentialed. Our men are really well trained. We have certifications in a number of different areas. We're an energy certified company, ResNet certified. There's a lot of credentialing that our folks have, so when they come to someone's house, you're confident that they know what they're doing. And I'll make one final point, a shameless commercial also about our company. A little over 3 years ago, I transformed our company from 100% ownership of my own to an employee co-op, which is a unique form of ownership. So now I'm proud to say that all of our employees are owners of our company, and eventually when I quit, die, or retire, our company will sustain itself through employee ownership beyond my tenure. So we're very proud of that too. So anyone who comes out and works on a project is an owner of our company.
Can we push the slideshow button up here for the view?
Sure.
Where does it say slideshow? On your PowerPoint.
I may have to go back to the PowerPoint.
No, you're in, this is PowerPoint. You're in.
Okay.
So the PowerPoint view, maybe you can get it down here.
Here?
No, that's the wrong program.
You're being captioned on the screen.
Here, feel free to.
I can't turn it off from up here.
Slideshow is in the middle.
Use slideshow right there.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry about that, folks. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And also fill.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of physics here when you're talking about your home, and if you think about a couple simple concepts of how you can improve your home, make it more safe, comfortable, efficient. There's three things that affect the efficiency of your home, and that's heat transfer. And there's three types of heat transfer. We're not going to get into a physics class here, but there's conductive heat transfer, convective heat transfer, and radiant heat transfer. All three of these types of phenomena affect the comfort of your home. So conductive heat, we're all familiar with it. If you stick a spoon under a fire, that's conductive heat through a solid media. Convective heat is the transfer of energy through wind or water, things like that. And then radiant heat comes from the energy of the sun that's absorbed. And all of these impact your home and what you're feeling, especially the last couple of days when things turn south in terms of our weather. We're going to refer back to those because the techniques you employ in your house, you're affecting one of these three elements of heat transfer. Okay? So we'll get to that in a moment. People always ask us, well, what can I do to my house? What's the priority? What should I do first? And it all depends, of course, but the common areas for improved insulation in a home are attics and knee walls, which are the areas, well, some photos here in a moment, areas behind walls on your third floor, maybe. Side walls, the exterior walls of the home can be affected through insulation, crawl spaces and basements, and then air sealing. We'll talk about air sealing in a moment. And then we'll talk about what is air sealing versus insulation, okay? When you walk into a Home Depot or Lowe's or you're getting a remodel done on your house, everyone talks about R value. What's an R value? If you ever go down Home Depot aisle, you'll see this R19, R13, R40. So R value is a measure of the efficacy of any material to the transfer of heat. Very simply, this podium has an R value, that table has an R value. and insulation has an R value. And the higher the R value, the better that material is at stopping the conduction of heat or cold. Okay? So the higher the R value, the better. So typical R values for building materials, brick, cinder block is very low. It's very poor, a very good conductor of heat, a poor insulator. Single pane glass has an R value of 1 or less, plywood 0.6. And then you get into walls, like wall insulation might have an R value of 13, attic 49. So that's what R value is, okay? Because that always comes up. People call up and say, hey, what R value should I put on my house? So, well, it depends on where it is and what the application is, okay? Fiberglass has an R value of 3.8 per inch. So if you have, 4 inches, it's 3.8 times 4. Cellulose is a similar material. Mineral fiber is a little higher. Foam, which you read a lot about and hear a lot about, and advertising has a very high R value per inch. So that makes it a good insulator. You get more bang per inch with certain types of foam than other materials. But there's also a cost trade-off in those things, okay? So where do you start? When people call, they say, my house is cold, I have ice dams, I have the second floor that's hotter than the first floor, I have a sunroom that I can't use. Where does one begin? And we always like to begin all of our projects with some sort of diagnostic approach. So that could be as simple as a visual observation up to and including a complete energy audit of your home. Okay? So on the far end of the spectrum, there's something called a HERS rating, which is primarily used in new homes, at least in Ohio. It's called a home energy rating system, where we could or someone else could develop a very detailed predictive energy model of your house. So we look at the house and measure the doors, the windows, the walls, the attic, basement, the type of furnace you have, the efficiency of the air conditioner, the lighting, and the appliances. You put all that together in a fairly sophisticated computerized model, and we can predict what your energy costs are, and we can also predict when certain improvements are made, how much it's going to impact your costs and your efficiency, okay? That's primarily used in new construction when you are making choices about different types of windows, different efficiencies on furnaces and air conditioners, maybe even solar panels. And then what spits out of that also is a number. HERS stands for Home Energy Rating System. It was developed by the mortgage industry a number of years ago to provide consumers with a very simple index so they can compare one home to the next. So if my home has a HERS rating of 100 and Marlene's home, if we have similar homes, well, not even similar homes, if your home has a HERS rating of 70, your energy costs are 30% lower than mine. So it's an easy way for consumers to say, well, what is the efficiency of one home versus another in terms of your operating costs? There are some states around the country right now, about 8 or 9, Massachusetts, Texas, California, and a few others, that require a HERS index every time a title transfers. So you're providing the consumer with clear information on what the energy costs of that home are. In our state, it's not required except for certain programs where you're getting a rebate perhaps from your utility company, or in the city of Cleveland, every rehab, a new home requires a HERS rating for a 15-year tax abatement. So that's the kind of far end of an energy audit. That's more complicated, more expensive. And then there's also some simple diagnostic tools, such as this, which is a blower door, which is applied to the door of a house, of your home or my home. And you depressurize the house by sucking the air out of the house. And then when the house is under negative pressure, you can feel where the leaks are coming in. Using an infrared camera, you can really identify areas where you're getting infiltration through conduction, convection, or radiation. We're coming back to the physics side, okay? And then you can also put a number to that. We put a little computer, I think I have a photo of that. I'll get to that in a moment. You can put a computer on this fan, and we can measure the cubic feet per minute of leakage in your house. So if this were our one's house, and we put this fan on the door, we could suck the air out, and the leakier this box is, the more air changes per hour you're going to get. So let's say it's 4,000. And then when we can identify areas of air leakage, under insulated areas, and make improvements. Okay, I'm going to insulate my attic. I'm going to seal up the windows. I'm going to insulate my crawl space. We can do a post test and demonstrate the reduction of air leakage in an objective, with an objective number, and quantify that and demonstrate to our customers, which makes us feel good, that the money you spent to make this investment improved your air leakage by 30% or 40%, whatever the case might be. And that reduction of air leakage through this simple diagnostic test is a fairly close, has a fairly high correlation with your energy costs. Okay? It's not unusual for us. We've done thousands of these tests. It's not unusual to get a 20, 30, 40, 60% improvement depending on where you start and depending on which measures you implement. So that's a very simple diagnostic test. Used in conjunction with an infrared camera, usually that's sufficient for most residential homes. And for example, this house, we did an infrared scan when it's under pressure, and we could see the leakages in the sidewall. This house has a whole side of the house that's uninsulated. And we're looking for these elements: air leakage that comes from wind, conduction of heat, and so forth. In addition to the pressure test and infrared test, we also perform, and we highly recommend, this is the safety part of our business, doing checks for carbon monoxide leaks, natural gas leaks, water intrusion, things like that. Because when you take an existing home that's been around for a long time, and in Shaker, the homes are very beautiful and also very old, and you dramatically change the air infiltration, you can negatively affect the safety of the home through carbon monoxide backdrafting, improper venting that could lead to mold or reduce indoor air quality. So the safety part is important. To efficiency is great, comfort's great, but safety is equally important. And these are this kind of some diagrams to show that, you know, your house, where you get air leakage in your house. So most houses, less so in Shaker, have forced air furnaces that generate pressure in the house, and there's a lot of leakage out of the house. So sealing leaks is the highest priority and lowest cost thing you can do. Caulking windows, doors, blocking leaks in attics, basements, and so forth. So after you do some basic diagnostics, whether you do the HERS rating on the far end or a pressure test, or even just visual observation, you have to come up with a plan on what makes sense economically and what you can afford and what has a big impact on your home. And there's three things that if you leave here with remembering nothing more, it's these three things that'll affect the safety, comfort, and efficiency of your home. And that's air sealing, insulation, and ventilation. And those three are done in conjunction. You can make some impact on your home to address those areas. If you don't have good ventilation, you end up with this, mold in your attic. If your bath fan's not terminated to the exterior, you can get mold. This slide's a little out of order, but this is a device where we connect to that fan and measure the leakage in the house. So this particular house has a leakage of almost 4,000 cubic feet per minute. And then we do a post test, okay? Crawl spaces are a problem. Many of the houses in Shaker have crawl spaces. So you can insulate and air seal crawl spaces, basement walls. This is a bath fan was not terminated to the exterior, and the attic was insulated, and you're pumping steam up in your attic and you get condensation and mold. And I bet we get 2 or 3 calls a month from people with this condition. Sometimes they don't know about it until the house is being sold, or they go up in the attic and, oh my gosh, I have mold in my attic, you know, and that's not good for health and indoor air quality. Okay. Attic insulation, this looks like it could be a Shaker home. If you have less, you know, if you go stick your head up in your attic and the insulation is below the rafters, It's probably not enough. If a home were built today in Shaker or in the state of Ohio, the building code requires 14 inches of fiberglass or cellulose in your attic. And very few houses have that unless they've been retrofitted. That code in 2010, it was 6 inches. Okay, so affecting your attic, in many cases, you could double, triple, or quadruple the amount of insulation at a relatively low cost. And that's pretty simple to do. Just going to buzz through some photos and let's talk about air sealing. So air sealing is exactly that. Anywhere there's leaks of air from inside to out, that's convective transfer of heat. We talked about conductive. This is convective, where the wind is pushing air into the home, cold air in the winter, hot air in the summer. If you have mice in your home, that's probably a sign you have air leakage. People call us with mice issues, and when we air seal the home for the benefit of improving your efficiency, you also address pest issues too. These are common air leakages in attics: hatches that are uninsulated, flue pipes from furnaces, can lights, knee walls, all those areas, okay? And this is how you air seal an attic. All these little penetrations kind of get sealed up with foam or caulk, can lights. And then, so that's attics air sealing. And you can also affect the sidewalls of a house. In Ohio, before 1975, it wasn't required by building code you have any insulation in your home. So right off the bat, if we see a house that was built before that, we were looking to see if they made any upgrades, and then the codes have evolved since then. So on sidewalls, this is a house with vinyl siding. You just remove the siding, drill holes in each wall cavity, and then fill the holes with insulation. It could be fiberglass or cellulose, depending on your preference or what is called for. And then put the siding back, and you kind of wrap the house in a big blanket. It sounds a little invasive, and it looks, it's like one of those things, you want to eat the sausage, not see it made. But it can be done in a day or two, and without any damage or long-term effects on your house. If you have brick house with a wall cavity, you can also drill from the interior, which we do a lot, which is also part of the issue. So sealing up the basement's important. Glass block windows, replacing those are important. And then what Alberto is going to talk about are some ways to pay for this. Dominion Energy has a program that can offer up to $1,250 rebates. There's a federal tax credit. There's some loans that have lower interest, financing for energy improvements, and there's a low-income weatherization program. If you're a senior on fixed income, we're connected with that program in Cuyahoga County. So that's a quick tour through a fairly complicated subject, and I'll be happy to entertain questions when Alberto is complete with his presentation. And lastly, a shameless plug. We created a podcast that you can download on Spotify or Apple or wherever you get your podcasts, talking about safety, comfort, and efficiency of your home. It's called A Very Fine House. We encourage you to download it if you like to listen to podcasts. Okay. Can I close this?
You need to turn off your screen share.
Okay. Can I close this?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, folks.
Full screen?
Yep. Good morning. All right, so I'm going to try to go through this as quick as possible so we can get some answers. This is a lot of information that we're throwing at you. So if you do have any questions, we'll try to answer them as much as we can. We will go about me as has been presented. So, about the IRA and its intent. What is the IRA? The IRA was a law that was passed last year in August by President Joe Biden. And the intent is to reduce carbon emission and give future generations a fair chance, right? That is our goal, to try to help future generations, not just ours, but think macro, to electrify America, right? So this means from cars to your stovetop to anything that you can think of electrifying. And also assist homeowners and renters reduce their carbon footprint this is putting aside around $8.8 billion for rebates. And it reduces reliance on fossil fuels. Sorry about that, we're getting some feedback. Should I turn this? There you go, thank you. And this also improves indoor and outdoor air quality, and this is something that Mr. Barry was able to explain, and just, it helps with just your, what we're gonna go through, it helps with your indoor air quality just because you're not burning, if you have a gas stove, you're not burning that gas inside your home. And actually, I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about you should probably open up the windows anytime. If you have a gas stove, it makes it better, just air quality. And also for the outdoors, it helps, right? Getting all these old cars out of the streets and going into electric. And also it improves homes for better comfort, similar to what Mr. Barry was explaining. And it provides a lot of, the finances for this. So what are the credits? And I broke these down just basically the way that we're looking at it. So building envelope components, similar to what Mr. Barry was explaining, but also going into exterior doors, windows, right? So Energy Star windows, you get X amount of credits, and they all have a cap, a yearly cap on most of these, or max amount. So for example, you get 2 exterior doors at $250 each. You get windows or skylights, if you have skylights in your homes, up to $600 total. In regards to insulation, one thing that you should note is that you do get up to a max credit of $1,200 per year. All right, $1,200 per year, and this is only for materials. So labor is not part of that. So what you're paying for is just the material. So any material that you put up in the attic, your walls, any insulation that you're using, caulking, etc., is covered. So then it goes into solar, fuel cell, wind turbines, battery storage insulation. So rather than having a generator, you got a battery pack on your house, and that you cover up to 30% of the total cost on that. And that includes labor and material. Cuyahoga actually has a solar co-op, which, I strongly encourage you to look into if you are thinking about solar. Just look at them. They work out a deal with vendors, and then they put it out to bid, and then the best price wins, and then they recommend you to that. I used that myself, and it worked out. Now, onto home energy audits, and this is something similar to what Mr. Ray was explaining in regards to you could do a blower test and or just a full house home energy audit. And some other programs similar to Dominion are offering these for a lower cost. I believe they're $25 until the end of this year. And I would encourage you to look at their website if you're thinking about an audit. Now, there's catches to those audits, right? So if you're doing it with Dominion, just know that you have an X amount of time to do the repairs. Otherwise, let's say you do the audit today, but you don't do the repairs till 2 years from now, you won't qualify to get the rebate from Dominion. That does not mean that you won't get the federal break, you still do, but Dominion, if you want to take advantage of Dominion and federal, then you can do it that way. So right now, the report just has to be written by, you need to identify the locations, propose the cost energy and how much energy you're gonna save, and the least expensive, right, way to provide the most bang for your buck, basically. The only update that 2024 will have is that you will have to have, for the report or for you to be able to get that $150 credit, you're gonna have to have someone that is ResNet, ASHRAE, BPI certified to provide you that test. If it doesn't have that, certifications, you will not qualify for the $150 rebate. The next is heating and cooling, and this pertains to electric or gas heat pumps. Now, with gas heat pumps, you're required to have a higher rating. So you need a 95 or 97 UFE, which is basically the efficiency, right? So the way that it was explained to me was if you have something that's 90, you're thinking about, okay, 90 cents of that dollar is going into heating your house, 10 cents go out the chimney. So that's a nice way to think about it. So the higher, so for gas, anything gas, you're gonna require to meet the highest. Heat pumps as well, heat pumps are a nice way, and they're the one thing just, to everyone, right? They are expensive. But you can get 30% of the cost up to $2,000 per year on these. Geothermal heat pumps, same thing, up 30% of the cost. High efficiency air conditioners, so just window units, and water heating equipment, you get 30% of the cost and up to $600. The other one is energy efficiency upgrades. So electrical panel, you can get your electrical panel upgraded. Now they have electrical panels that tell you if you have any ghost loads, right? And what a ghost load is, energy that you're using, thinking that you shut everything off, but you're actually using energy still, or your house is drawing energy from somewhere. And we do have a lot of ghost loads in older homes, especially with the tube and I really don't the tube and wire, knob and tube. Thank you. Knob and electricity here. And then the other one is home electric vehicle chargers, 30% cost and up to $1,000. And this is subject to change, and this is per the energy DOE's website, Department of Energy. So the credit yearly caps, as I explained before, they all have caps. So the AC, if you're thinking about AC, heating equipment, heating water, electrical panel, insulation material, you have a yearly cap of $1,200. And this gives you that. Now, one thing that I should mention is that there are income limits, right? So for a married couple, in order for you to qualify for a lot of these, you have to be at $300,000 or less. So married couple, household, head of household is 225, and somebody that's single is $150,000. Now, and also, as Barry explained, there are programs that, for senior citizens as well as low income, there are other ways for it to actually pay up to $14,000 for repairs, which is it's a nice number, if you're thinking about these as, if you're looking at heat pumps, a heat pump can run you, depending on your house, from $8,000 to up to $20,000 if you want, all the bells and whistles on a heat pump. So this is just, and I'm adding this just as a quick little snapshot of what the Department of Energy puts together, and it gives you a quick story, so you'll be able to look at this later on in the reporting, and some common questions in regards to which form to use when you're applying for your tax credit. And you should always speak to your tax consultant. So I've gone over the credits, and I know this is very quick. So I'm going to try to now, what, in my opinion, right, or in our opinion, with the Shaker Heights Sustainability Energy Subcommittee, our opinion is that you should start from the envelope, right? So caulk around all your windows. And some of these are DIY projects, right? So caulk your windows, your envelopes, any opening penetrations. Install any door sweeps. I know myself included, last year I was able to walk through some of my doors and feel the draft, right? So just installing a door sweep could limit that. Having an 1/8-inch gap below your door it provides a similar air intake to your house, or loss of heat, better said, as having a 2.5-inch hole on the side of your house. So just think about it that way. 1/8-inch gap is very little, and you feel it. I mean, you feel that cold or the hot. So locate cold and hot rooms. Some of the old homes, Shaker specifically has a lot of old homes, as Mr. Berry alluded to. And, one of the things that we don't have is proper installation on these homes. Our duct systems where they're more of a C channel, and they're using the back of the back of the front of the wall, depending on how you look at it, to complete that duct. right? And the duct's not insulated, so you're actually heating your facade. And that's, if you do a thermal image, you'll see that. And as soon as your AC goes off, you get the cold draft because now you're getting all the cold air. So look at things like that. Closed chimney, and any damp, your chimney has a damper. So if you look up right above it, you're able to close that, so that way you're not losing heat, right? Because right now you're just creating a nice path for all the heat to just keep going out the chimney and your dollars as well. Replace old windows, doors, and for that you have credits that you can use. Insulate exterior walls on any cold or hot rooms. The new HVAC units have systems in place that allow you, and this is if you speak to a vendor of an HVAC unit, they will tell you, look, we can go with this unit that's much greater, it provides more. But if you're losing air here, you know, it's just a waste of money, in my opinion, right? So insulate attic spaces, exterior walls, once again, and waterproof and insulate your basements, right? So that's a huge location where we lose a lot of heat, and heat rises eventually makes it to your attic, and if you don't have proper insulation on your attic, they'll just go right out the roof. And why we're saying that, you know, working on your envelope is important is because in my house, right, we have had some air leaks. We still have some air leaks. And the unit that we have to heat that house is oversized by about 2 times just to be able to keep that house warm. And it's not, you know, so now to replace that unit that could cost us $8,000, now we have to spend $20,000 because you have to upgrade everything. And it's not the right way to do it. You know, you can save money by just doing installation, creating an envelope, and creating a nice tight envelope, and then putting a smaller unit that will cost you less money. And you still get the same 30% break or tax breaks. And these are just some of the images, and, you know, just explaining once again that you can lose up to 30% of your heating cool could be wasted, right? And Shaker's probably a little more in some of these homes. So although the IRA provides all these great things, there are a lot of little things that you can do also, right? So in our house, we have installed 13 panels. We are not the optimal place to put your solar panels is the south. That is the optimal. You get full sun the whole day. We have put 13 panels on our west roof, and it has made a huge difference. Right now, our bill has not gone over the $70,000. $70. $70. You know, and it has gone as low as 10. I paid $10 for electricity where I have, you know, 3 kids and they're home all day, and it's great having that. Now, there is some misconceptions, right? We don't have enough sun. It's cloudy. This is Cleveland. What are you doing? And the thing that you have to think about is, you know, looking at your parking garage here, you are offsetting most of your energy by doing so. And just today, we walked in here at 8:30 and it's cloudy, and you're still producing around 400 watt per hour on 1 inverter alone, and you have approximately 10 out there. And that's just early in the morning, sun hasn't come out. So regardless of whether it's sunny or cloudy, it's just you're going to get less production, but you still offset more. So for us in our house, we're offsetting about 60% of our energy with just 13 panels. And just for, you know, transparency, with the co-op, and prices may have changed now, it was about $1,000 per panel installed. So that's inverter, everything, the whole setup. Dryer stoves in our house, we have switched them over to electric. Installed, and you know, that just gets fed off of the grid, right? We installed door sweeps. We kept the trees, right? So that's one of the things that we like to do, keep the trees, because if you have a deciduous tree, it'll protect your house, it'll shade your house, and just if you're putting an array of panels, just be cognizant of, you know, where there are panels go in the tree, but just be cognizant of that and install, you know, we have a rainwater collection system similar to yours, and we try to keep our temperatures. So in the winter, keep the temperature at 68 to 71, and in the summer, I keep it between 74 and 76. You know, one of the things that one of my college professors used to say was, in America, we like to turn the thermostat to 78 and walk around and just a t-shirt. It's just the way we do things, right? It's what we're accustomed to. And sometimes, just putting on a sweater and having it at 70, it's okay. But that's preference. And that's my last slide.
I'm on screen sharing.
Hold on.
I have a question on the subject of air exchange. Excuse me.
We're gonna, just a second. Before, I'm sorry. I want to thank Alberto Elise and Martin Berry for sharing their time and expertise with us this morning. Before our Q&A, I'd like to say that the UU congregation is cooperating with the Shaker Heights Energy Subcommittee and hoping to engage as many people as possible in taking advantage of the Inflation Reduction Act, or the IRA, and getting home energy audits, implementing the energy efficiency improvements. If you are interested in being involved and getting more information on the IRA and home audits, please give us your name and email address on a clipboard that we will be passing around. And for those on Zoom, leave your address and name in the chat, or you can also contact Norm Robbins at his email, which we've put in chat. And now we will begin our Q&A session. As a reminder to those on that are virtual audience, please put your questions in the Q&A box. And now we will have Jan will pass around the microphone. Thank you. Hold it up here.
Okay. My understanding is that the CDC, I think it's the CDC, has just come out and with guidelines for the hourly air exchange that a residence, an office building, manufacturing building, or anybody should have. And I just wonder how that intersects with what we're talking about in general about not having air leak.
Sure. I'll take a stab at that first. Is that all right?
That's right.
Should I turn this on?
Yes, please.
Well, that's a good question about, you're talking about indoor air quality is what you're talking about, IAQ. And the enemy of an efficient home is indoor air quality. As the home gets tighter, meaning better insulated and less air leakage, indoor air quality could become an issue. So this device that I showed in the slide, the pressure test, measures exactly what you're talking about. The cubic feet per minute leakage can be converted to air changes per hour, which is the real metric in terms of air quality. So fortunately or unfortunately, in most houses like mine and yours that are 50 to 100 years old, with the retrofit improvements you can do, you rarely reach the point in a retrofit that you're going to hit what's called the building tightness limit, below which you have to actively bring in fresh air and manage indoor air quality. So, and we measure that when we do this pressure test. If you're below the limit, the building tightness limit, where your house is too tight, you can get things like, condensation on the windows. It feels a little stuffy. And you can affect that in your house by running the kitchen exhaust fan when you're cooking, making sure you run your bath fan if you take a shower to expel steam. And then in the extreme, like in new houses, when you're designing all these things from scratch and really making the house efficient, many times you do get below the indoor air quality limit, and you can put in indoor makeup air, it's called. It's very common in commercial buildings and hospitals and schools, but it's becoming more prevalent in homes where you build in air makeup systems. So right now, your furnace runs, it recirculates the air. Well, now it actively brings in fresh air, mixes with the return air, monitors the humidity and air quality, and situation solved. So it's a great point and something to keep an eye on in terms of safety and health. Anything you want to add on that?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I have a question. When you get your Dominion Energy thing in the mail, you think it's another bill, and it says, this is not a bill, this is for you to investigate other better sources
Okay.
of energy, and I don't know where to begin. I find that daunting.
Sure.
That's my question.
So there's two things. The efficiency part of the equation revolves around all the things that Alberto and I mentioned, insulation, air sealing, all that. Then the other side of it is the cost of the fuel that you're using, the cost of the electricity or gas. It's like a car that gets, 50 miles a gallon. I could buy an electric car, but then where am I buying the gasoline? So what you're talking about is in Ohio and most states now, gas and natural gas and electricity is deregulated. So you can, even though Dominion is your gas provider, that means they take care of the lines and the billing and the repairs. The fuel that runs through that lines, you can choose. The best place to go for that is a website called Apples to Apples. You just type in Apples to Apples, Ohio. It gives you a list of all the approved providers of where consumers can purchase natural gas and electricity. And then you can go select, it's like getting a loan. I can get 5 years at this rate. I can get 1 year at this rate. And then you can click and choose. If you don't do anything like me, and you ignore the mailings, they'll just put you in a plan on a rotating basis. And that's usually, a short term, month to month. So you can go in there and select how long you want to buy a contract for and what price. And it bounces around quite a bit. If you're under 10 cents a kilowatt hour for electricity, that's good. Natural gas, you might get $5 or $6 in MCF. So that's Apples to Apples, Ohio choice.
I do want to say that NOPEC's not on Apples to Apples, and NOPEC is a good choice for people. It's a default choice for some of our communities, but it's a nonprofit, and all the profit that NOPEC gets from selling gas or electricity goes back to the communities. It pays for traffic lights and trees, and all sorts of good things. Just to remember that they're not on Apples to Apples.
How do you spell it?
NOPEC, N-O-P-E-C.
Oh, NOPEC, okay. How do you spell the apples to apples? Does it use a two or does it actually say T-O?
It's Apples to Apples. If you type that in on Google, it'll pop right up. Ohio, Apples to Apples, Ohio choice.
Hi, this has been a very good introduction to all the things you can do in the house and places to make it more comfortable. But there was the third part of this, which is eco-friendly. And I'd like you to discuss, both of you, if you would, how does this interact with, let's say, reducing carbon dioxide in the air for climate change, if we're really concerned about climate change?
Well, I think that, the IRA covers a lot of it. One of the big ones, our houses, houses are the worst offenders when it comes to emissions. Typically living in a building or an apartment is better in regards to damage to the environment. I think that the IRA tries to give you the ability to not burn so much fossil fuel to continue to heating your home and be able to, just reduce your carbon footprint, right? So, for example, the first school the last school that I worked at in New York City was the Net Zero School. And what they did is that they basically put a plastic wrap around their home. They had a dedicated outside air unit to provide the required air exchanges. But also they were able to lower the temperature of the water from your typical 130-degree water through the coils to about 85 or 90. Which was more than enough. And they were able to heat a 50,000 square foot building with 2 boilers that probably smaller than the ones that you have at home. So there are a lot of options like that. Also with the cars, right? So, and that becomes more of a preference, and wherever you stand with electric cars, they do make a difference, in my opinion, for the emissions. A lot of the cars here, one of the things that I was surprised when I moved to Ohio was the fact that our emissions really doesn't do an emissions check. They just give you a sticker and you're on your way. So it's you can make a difference that way. And I don't know if that answered.
I think in your home, that's a good answer. I think that's very good information. In your home, there's just, because we're talking about that today, there's two ways you can do it. You can reduce the amount of natural gas you're using or electricity by making your home more efficient by insulation, air sealing, more efficient power plant, more efficient furnace, air conditioner. That's usually capital intensive and you have to spend some money. The other way is like operations. Like Alberto said, turn back your thermostat, use the functionality of your Nest thermostat to lower it at night, lower it when you're not there, lower the temperature. Those are no cost operational reductions. Then there's the investment side. We have to spend some money to affect the amount that you're using. It's a good question. It relates to indoor air quality. Most people are comfortable with a relative humidity in their home about 35 to 45. Okay. And we run into humidity issues a lot with folks. If you go to like Ace Hardware or Home Depot and buy a very simple desktop thermostat, and even some of your smart thermostats may have a humidity meter, you can monitor your humidity. So as your house gets tighter, more efficient, if all of a sudden, you insulate it or you do some other things, and the humidity is going up, well, that's indoor air quality. Because if you're, if we're living in this box and we close it up tight, almost to a vacuum, the humidity is it's a terrarium, the humidity is going up and down. So humidity can be controlled by the measures we talked about, running your kitchen exhaust to get steam, running the bathroom exhaust. And then also watching for those telltale signs of humidity. Humidity can yield mold and respiratory illness and things like that. So the other way to control humidity very quickly is running your fan on your furnace, and also saves energy and improves comfort. Rather than turning on your air conditioner in the spring or in the shoulder seasons, run the fan. Like I run my fan 45 minutes out of every hour, 24 hours a day. What that does is it creates exchange. It brings in fresh air from the outside through natural infiltration and flushes the house of humidity, allergens, dust, things like that. Now you may have to change your filter more in your furnace, but your smart thermostat has the ability to run your fan more. And when you have air moving over your body, convective heat transfer, we talked about that, you don't need the air conditioning. It's certain temperatures. I don't like air conditioning. My family does. If you run your fan on your furnace that's already there, sometimes you don't need the air conditioner till July, as an example. And that gets rid of humidity running the fan. So it's an indoor air quality issue.
Thank you for your presentation. I'm very puzzled about the solar panels. Do you own your own? Do you have to make some deal with one of the energy companies to give them some of your electricity? Because my sister looked into it in Pennsylvania and she didn't like the contract that she was going to have to sign. She wanted to just have her units be her own and self-contained.
So there are different ways to obtaining it, right? So if you have the capital to just purchase the equipment here, at least in Ohio, we can. We purchased our 13 units and they are ours. And what we use is the solar co-op. So once again, the Cuyahoga Solar Co-op puts out this bid and it worked out great for us. And they're still doing, I believe that you just have to sign up. So
What is it called?
so the
United Solar Co-op.
Yeah, United Solar Co-op. Yep, sorry. And yeah, we sign up for that, and they'll tell you when the next opening is, and then they grab X amount of residents, and then they put out to bid, right? And they say, okay, and for us it was Yellow Light who installed it, and this is not, I'm not recommending or anything like that. It's not a recommendation. Right? So they were great for me, but once again, it's whoever the co-op makes the bid with. And so you deal more with them, but there are ways to also get a loan. There are ways to work through independent companies that will get you that. So you're buying electricity from a company rather than, they're on your house, but you're buying it, right? So where I work, we're a not-for-profit, so we're unable to take advantage of the tax credits. So what we do is we typically buy the electric, we provide the land, install the solar panels, right? We partake in the whole infrastructure, and then we buy the electricity from that portion, which belongs to X, Y, and Z generation. But here you can own them, at least in Ohio.
Thanks.
I wanted to know about window replacements. I have an old house and right now it has storm windows and they're leaking. So I'm debating whether to replace the storm windows with new ones, or should I go with a full window replacement?
That's a good question. Thank you. I don't want to get in trouble with window people here. Here's my standard spiel on windows. So in most people's homes, the windows and doors constitute 15 to 25% of the surface area of the home. Sometimes a little more, if more modern homes, the storm windows, a single pane window with a storm window is perfectly fine, provided that they function and don't leak and operate properly, which a lot of them don't. Okay, so if you can, I think it's a cost issue and a appearance issue, aesthetics. So if you can get the storm windows to function and not leak at a cost that's not prohibitive to you, that would be fine. However, a brand new double pane window that's installed properly and sealed around the perimeter works great. And sometimes you just can't get there. Maybe that window's not sealed when it was originally installed. Maybe you just can't get that storm to work properly. So a new double pane window would do a great job. Windows are a complicated issue, less so in our area because we don't have a lot of solar gain. And this is a more detailed issue, but that's my answer. If you're replacing your windows only for energy efficiency, you're probably not going to be happy with the improvements unless your current windows leak or don't function properly or are not sealed properly. How's that? No window people are going to be mad at me. Right?
Can I just add to that? If you're thinking about the IRA though, it's probably going to be replacing the window. And it's all, as he said, it's an investment, right? So you're going to, with a new window, first thing you should do is check with your city, right? Some cities are very strict in regards to how your windows should look. You also want to make sure that you're not a historic preservation where your windows need to be X, Y, and Z. So that'll be the first step. The second step is, old windows don't have a thermal break. So even if you have double pane or with the storm window, you have double glass, you're still going to get the thermal break. You don't have the lack of thermal break causes cold air or hot air to move through the actual frame of the window. So just be cognizant of that. And, over the long run, if you put new windows and everything is installed properly, and that is, that's the key word there, installed properly, you could actually see a huge benefit on heat loss and heat gain later on.
Okay, I want to make one final comment here and just to thank you for all of the great information. And to note that we have Norman Robbins and Nancy Moore from the Shaker Heights Energy Subcommittee here. And that we at UUCC are really working on trying to get as many people, including faith communities, throughout the Heights to get this information and take advantage of it. We know it's a lot of information and many questions. So my last question for you is, where would you start to get the information? We have a brochure, the Shaker Heights Subcommittee website, but are there other places to start this exploration?
So for us as a member, I'm going to be very biased here because I am a member of the Shaker Heights Sustainability Committee. So I would say visit our website. We do have the basic information, then we have links to the Department of Energy, but that's a great place to start. The Department of Energy and our website, I would say, and go to Dominion's website as well, and as well as First Energy, who actually just started providing rebates for appliances.
I think energy.gov is a good site. It's got tons of information on all the things we talked about, videos and articles.
Maureen, we have a couple questions from,
Okay, we can take one more question.
okay, we do have a couple from our virtual attendees, and one is from Denise. Do you know when the point of sale rebates on heat pumps will come out? Also, how will you apply for them?
So I cannot find, I don't know the answer to that at the moment. It's, it's very unclear. And also the heat pumps themselves, I know that, because I actually brought in a contractor to look at purchasing a heat pump. And one of the things that they were saying is that you can qualify for it, but just the local, through Dominion, they had a rebate of $600, and then you got, but I don't know the exact date as to when that will. I don't have that information at the moment.
Thank you. We do have one more, and I think we'll just let our speakers type the answer to that one. Well, you can type it in later.
Thank you again to all of our speakers and to the audience for joining us today. There are two forum events to tell you about. After today's service, there will be an informal discussion on room 108 on the book about women who have relinquished their babies. We are co-sponsoring this with the Adoption Network Cleveland. Our next 9 a.m. forum will be 2 weeks on Sunday, on November 19th, on whether it's detrimental to talk to kids about gender diversity. The speaker will be psychologist Vanessa Jensen, director of the Cleveland Clinic's Guide program, which provides support for youth questioning gender identity. You are also welcome today to attend our 10:15 a.m. Sunday service, either upstairs in the sanctuary or on YouTube page. The theme today is the hope in sharing. Reverend Randy Partain will be the service leader. To see what else is happening at our congregation, please check out our website at uucleveland.org. Thanks again and have a great 2 weeks.
Real quick, regarding the Dominion program, the audits are free if you go through a contractor who's in the program. We are one of those. If you call us and schedule Dominion, there's no cost, and that program runs through the end of March. And if you take a card, you can call our office, and we'd be happy to help you out. Thank you for having us, Marlene.